readers, Lilou here. I'm with Debra Silverman, and we just did an interview, but I really wanted you to see the reading because I'm having a reading session and I thought it would be great to record it so you can see how it is. So we're just gonna talk and do the reading, and you're an astrologer.
Get a sneak preview in the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
We're in the kitchen, we're cooking things up.
Yeah.
So here's how an astrology reading works. I start by asking a few questions. I call it my doctor checkup about timing. So I'll ask you a few questions about timing. Okay. Then I'll describe your character for a few minutes, which can be a little spooky because you'll wonder how I know all this, but it's an ancient science. And then we'll dialogue whatever's current, whatever's going on right now. So the first question is, you should have gone through a really big change in 2006, 2007. That's called Saturn return. You're just turning 30.
I moved to Chicago
from
Florida, and that's when I saw Oprah Winfrey interview people, and that's when I got super inspired to start doing it.
Right.
I recognized her soul work.
I knew it was yours.
Yeah.
So that's what we call a destiny line. That's the marker. Anytime between 29 to 30, everyone, you can ask anyone this question, they'll either go through a crisis or they'll go through an opening, but it's a destiny where life came in and said, here's your job, and you said yes.
Yeah.
So that's the turning point. It often requires a move. People, like 90% of the time, they either move, they get married, they get divorced, they have a kid. It's always a turning point that then lasts for the next 30 years. So that was the initiation point. And then the next change is going to come up, just so you know, next year. I don't know how personal we can get, but I can see you.
Totally personal.
You could be easily married by next year. Have you talked about that? See, I told you how personal. So there is definitely a relationship shift, or you're in a very positive transit right now with your relationship. This happens once every 12 years, where you're suddenly feeling yourself more and more open. Like instead of being, because you tend to be resistant.
Oh yeah.
But this is exactly the opposite. Suddenly you're feeling, and it's going to continue all the way through the next fall. But by the time the end of 2014, so you've got a 2-year window here. You're going to suddenly feel like, wow, there's nothing to resist. Mm-hmm. And there'll be enough information, because you are someone who is extremely, now I'm just going to jump into your chart. Mm-hmm. You have, I'm going to speak astrology. I never do this, but I'm going to give just a little bit for those that listen that understand astrology. The moon and Uranus were conjunct when you were born. So there's the moon in the heavens and the planet Uranus, and they were standing right at the same spot. So what that tells me is you get these flashes. Uranus rules brilliant, abstract, non-linear thoughts. And your moon's in Scorpio, so it's deep. Like all of a sudden you'll just go, I just know something. Now why do I know this? Now it can be negative at times, which is a little scary in your chart. You tend to be able to read people when they're full of it. Like you get this gut reaction, you're like, oh no, I don't like them. On the other hand, that's so funny. Yeah. On the other hand, when you know something, there's no one going to change your opinion.
Right.
It's like it hits you with like a ton of bricks, and then logic can come in and say, no, and you're like, don't talk to me. So you're stubborn. That's the short version of that. But it comes with a huge gift of inspiration that comes through the abstract world that you can't explain. That's the moon, emotions, the inner world, the dark side of the day when the moon's up at night. And Uranus being that only happens once, this is a very rare occurrence to have Uranus and the moon conjunct. And it makes for ESP, intuition, psychic abilities that are very strong. Your challenge this life is knowing how to navigate through what's negative, not feeling bad, that you can read, as soon as you don't like someone, you get such a strong feeling, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. And I can imagine for you wanting so much to be the optimist, it's at times difficult.
Yeah, because I hear a lot of the negative noise too.
Yes, but don't decipher. Your job this life is to be able to sit in the negative without moving away from it, but not having to react to it. Otherwise, you're going to feel yourself cringing or pushing away and then feeling bad about yourself. Like, why am I always having these negative thoughts? But this is the nature of Scorpio. They can navigate through the dark without being scared once the judgment's taken off. So what I want to give you permission is to say, yeah, I do see through people. I don't have to not like them, but I can certainly find the right proximity. There's some people that if you get that feeling, you can't change your mind no matter what they say to you. And that's just who you are.
Even if there's nothing proven.
There's no outer world experience to substantiate. You're just like, I just got a feeling. And you're right. So just good news, strong intuition. Bad news is if you feel bad about how negative it goes, you could feel yourself being self-conscious. And especially when you're quote-unquote spiritual, because we're trying to be all so lovely. But you have a real honesty machine in your tummy.
Yeah.
Here's the other one that's very unusual. Saturn and the sun were together. So when you were born, the sun moves a degree every single day around the sky. So we always know, like, On August 20th every year, the sun's in Leo. But the day you were born, which only happens once every 30 years, no, this happens once a year, this transit, Saturn was sitting on your sun, which tells me Saturn is the planet of wisdom. And it means that when you were young, you were old, that you came in feeling much more serious, not able to be as lighthearted as other people, feeling responsible for your family, feeling responsible for your parents, like, what's wrong with this little girl? She's old. But as you're getting older, you're going to get younger and go, I don't care about any of that. And as you get older, you age better, you're going to look better, you're going to look healthier as you get older, so you're backwards. Did you feel that when you were a kid, sort of somber, responsible, old?
Yeah.
People always thought you were so mature.
Yes, I've always hung out with much older people. A lot more older.
Yeah, so that's going to change as you reach 50. When Saturn really, when you pinnacle, in about 15 years, you're going to go, wow, I feel so young. But in the meantime, you've collected all this wisdom from being around the wisdom keepers, the older people.
Yeah.
And that's and this gives you a crazy work ethic, like a workaholic pattern where you can't. This is the part. I always say Saturn lives in the shoulder and goes, "What are you doing?" You know, he's like, he's there all the time with you.
Yeah.
He never gives up. So you got to say to him, "Excuse me, I'm now shopping, and we don't need to talk to me right now. Can you leave me alone?" Because otherwise, he will never until you get old enough to say to him. So the clue of astrology is when you know you're prone to this pusher. He's a pusher, like. You can say to him, "Do you think you're in charge? I'm in charge." But that's going to be that's the gift of astrology, is being aware. So there's two things we've pointed to. One is this access to negativity that is also psychic, and the second is this overabundance of wisdom that comes from your young, youthful fascination with older people and older things that will actually serve you when you get older, but it could feel burdensome. It could feel like, why can't I just relax without feeling guilty? Mm-hmm. Which then adds us to the next piece. You've got Mercury in Virgo at this, you've got a T-square to it. I'm talking technical, but the first thing you need to know is you are so analytical. Like you have a systematic thought process that analyzes everything. And you can't relax. So you're like analyzing. So instead of being able to say to your mind, we aren't going to analyze right now, we're just enjoying the view. You're thinking about work and you're trying to get it all organized. You're making sure you're on time and you got So your mental body, Mercury in Virgo, tells me that you've got a very clean thought process. That's the good news. Very analytical, really well organized, but can become hyper analytical to the point of noise. Like, where's that off button? Mm-hmm. So you want to be conscious that your Mercury in Virgo doesn't take over. And the release of your whole chart, see the T-square, there's two planets opposite. Mm-hmm. You can see the red line here in the middle.
And I'm all there. All at the top.
It's true.
People usually spread.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what that means. So there's these two planets opposite. See the red line? Mm-hmm. And this third planet is 90 degrees to both. So literally it looks like a T. If we could draw a line in right there. Mm-hmm. Then we go to the release point of your whole chart is Pisces. People that are Pisces really serve you. Why? Because they get you to stop thinking. They say, can you just stop with all that noise? I don't want to hear about all your theories. I don't want to hear about all your ideas. And you're like, what do you mean? I need to keep talking. My Mercury's in Virgo. I've analyzed everything. And Pisces goes, and that's very good for you. The whole chart releases.
It's resting, yeah.
It's a resting pad. Exactly. And that's why Pisces people serve you so well. The other piece that's very strong is you have this wonderful placement of Neptune, which rules cameras. It's so funny. I was watching Lilou setting up the camera and so impressed, and I said, you take a class? And she said, no, I just came this way. Well, that's Neptune rules cameras. And you see it sitting right, this is the horizon in the chart, and it's sitting right on the horizon, exactly sitting on the horizon. So it tells me that your relationship with the invisible world, with spirit, with understanding vibration, sitting with people and getting a hit, now we're compounding. Your intuition was over here from your moon in Scorpio, this deep sensitivity. Now we've added to it, you've got antennas. And you've got this great gift for the aesthetic. Like you can see the world in beauty. It's always so obvious to you how to beautify the world. And you do it naturally. It's an instinctual. You came in, this is very angelic. At worst, it makes you spacey, which I don't think is your problem, because with Mercury and Virgo, it's Saturn on your sun, you're so detailed. But at best, it gives you a relationship with the invisible world where you really do believe, without question, that there's angels and there's magic and that you can see the other worlds and it's just part of your nature. But your Virgo Mercury goes, well, let me see if I can analyze this. I need to make a little list here and get some research done to explain it. And the rest is going, I don't really care. I'm telling you, this is woo-woo. There's magic here. So suspending your left brain is one of your challenges. Like you'll always have a little ping pong game going between, I want scientific proof or I want to give people concrete evidence in the magical realm. But Neptune rules magic and the other worlds.
I feel it.
You feel it in your body.
But I don't see it.
You could if you cultivate it. Your analyzer will stop it because you'll think you have to make it practical. But if your eyes were shut, you could visualize. Do you have any gift of visualization? Can you see when you look in a room before you get? Can you decorate really well? Like you know exactly how to put things.
I love beauty.
Yeah, it's so easy for you to see beauty or how to do beauty.
Yeah.
That's visionary.
Yeah.
But it's more concrete. You can see it. But I'm telling you, you've got that gift also at an intuitive level with spirit, with sensing people.
I sense things regardless of, even if I don't see it.
Right. So that's
I feel it, yeah.
And then your question about why is everything on the top? So if this is the hospital right in the middle, where you were born, in the middle of the chart is the hospital bed, all the planets were on top of the horizon when you were born. We could see them all, and none of them were below, which tells me that you will be a person this lifetime to be seen, that you will be in the public's eye. This chart, clearly, this whole thing right up here is the, you being the juicy, what's the name of your program?
Juicy Living Tour.
You are the Juicy Living Tour. So that public exposure is a result of all the planets being on the top of your chart, as compared to others who live more on the internal world. Not good or bad, just different. And you have a very public opinion, public front. Mm-hmm. What's also interesting is you've got the strong 9th house, which tells me that you love the truth. That when people are blunt, it's finally feeling comfortable to you. When they're being secretive, or you can feel, it's enough to, it's like nails on a chalkboard.
It drives me nuts because I know they're lying there. I know they're not telling the truth. It's terrible.
And it runs in your body. You start to feel, and you're like, I'm going to be so uncomfortable. And then you bleh. It's only a matter of time before you're going to want to say something. That's one of your challenges, is the bluntness. Because you're Sag rising. You are blunt, you're direct, and that's your promise, by the way.
Yeah.
So even though people are not telling the truth and it's registering in your body and you can see they're all pretending, and part of you wants to go, wake up everybody, take off your clothes, or the emperor, he has no clothes. You're the first one to go, look at the emperor, he has no, and then you're like, oh, did I just say that? That was kind of inappropriate, because your Virgo starts to analyze you. Wrong answer. Lilou, sit down. But you're promised this life based on this chart with both Saturn and Leo and Sag rising, fire. Your life lesson is fire, your soul is fire, and your personality is fire. You're a Leo. You promised to stand up, stand out, and do fire, and be bold, and say the thing no one else wants to say, and be the one that gets everybody excited. That was your promise. So the more you inspire us with your work, the more you're being yourself. So when you do, but the funny part about Leo is they're shy.
Yeah.
Isn't that the weirdest thing?
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing.
So they want to show up, and then they're like, I don't want to take up too much space, but I want to, so it's one of these. It's like, sure, yes. No. And the gift I want to give you is just breathe through it and just know that's a quirky personality trait. There's nothing you can do about it, but Leos are the shyest sign in the zodiac. They come off looking really good when they've got a role. Like if you're being the interviewer, but as soon as you're at a party and you don't have a role, you're like, can we just back up? Don't tell them what to do. So it's your nature to be shy when it's not within a function.
Yes.
But when there's a function, you're shining and standing up and standing out and blah. And in your family dynamic, one of the things that probably irritated your parents was you can't not talk out loud. At a certain point, you just can't hold it in. Like, you're trying to be nice to your parents and you're trying to be respectful, and all of a sudden you're like, blah, and they're like, did we ask for this? And this whole life, your promise is to speak up, speak out, and be the disruptor. Because fire disrupts. It doesn't soothe, it activates. It gets everybody going. So that's your promise. Even though your moon's in water and your emotional body's trying to be so gentle and so quiet, the rest of you is like, so there's a push-pull. 1 foot on the gas, 1 foot on the brake. All that fire, and then a little bit of water. Mm-hmm. So who wins, the fire or the water, when it comes to you being in public or with your family? Or does the bluntness just win? Do you find yourself?
It depends on situations, yeah. If it's an intimacy, it goes out. If I don't know anybody, I won't at all. Far opposite direction.
Exactly, isn't it funny?
Yeah. So I don't like big crowds. I would like one day to be able to do public speaking, but I'm terrified by that. That's why the camera is perfect, because it's still intimate.
Right. See,
but it reaches the people.
Because your sensitivity is so great.
Yeah.
This water moon you have in Scorpio.
It's too much.
The vibration. It starts to come in your body.
Yeah.
And if you're in a contained space where the vibration is like this, so you have a huge gift in your body as a vibrational. This is the Neptune on the ascendant. You have a huge gift as a vibrational receiver. And if it's good vibration, like we're in Kauai and your whole being sings. If you're in a stressful situation where you're in a confined room where there's cigarette smoking and people are, your whole body's going to start going, hospitals, big theaters, big gatherings, you're like, too much circuitry. I'm short-circuiting. So it's okay to know that. Unless you have a function. And then you can handle numbers and numbers of people. If you are in the role and you've got a strong, because this is Saturn, where I've got a purpose, now I'm good to go. But don't leave me there wandering, because then you're like, give me something to do or I'm going home. But that's so good to know about yourself. You also have this great gift of, in relationship, you are very enthusiastic when someone stimulates you mentally. You have to be either giggling with someone or thinking with somebody, but if they don't get your mind going, you are snoring. And then you're very quick to leave. Like, as fast as you arrive, it says, where'd you go? So if you're not in a stimulating situation.
Yeah.
But that's okay. This is the gift of astrology. So you know that about yourself and go, oh, I gotta go. There's nothing happening here. No one's having it. Oh, so funny. Just time to go. And the other thing that's very strong, that's the socializing part. You have a real gift of playing house. Like this chart loves playing house and cooking and being at home, and you have a real playing, having them in your space, and making an atmosphere. And you're built for parties, for dinner parties that are intimate, that have function and can go deep. But as soon as there's too many people, you're like,
I prefer to create my own parties with the people I think will mingle, even if they come from all kind of horizons. I love bringing people together. Yeah. In the atmosphere where the best conversations and connections will take place.
That's all your Gemini. So I'm coming to your house next time you have a party. And you have this crazy gift of remembering details. Like, you have the weirdest memory for the strangest details. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I don't have good memory. I just have visual sometimes.
Don't you have crazy details where something will really bug you and you'll like...
Yeah, some things I can't get rid of,
But you don't have a very good memory?
No. Which serves, I think, the videos and everything that I do, because this way I can have these conversations over and over again. I love it. But I will remember what I need to remember, and I take it on an energetic level.
And this is the last piece I'm going to speak to. In your profession, you have Pluto and Libra in the 10th house. Your passion, Pluto passion, for Libra relationships with corporate, presidential leaders, government, spiritual leaders. You have a natural comfort when it comes to power.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing for you to be around.
It's a person. Yeah. Regardless of who it is, it's a person. I could totally have a conversation with the President of the United States. I'll be myself.
Right.
I love it. It's stimulating. But it's not changing. It's actually very empowering.
Because you come with your own power source. Yeah. So what we get so affected by people that have power is if we aren't in our power, we get overwhelmed by their charisma. But you're solidly holding your own.
Yeah, I love it. It brings out. Actually, I love it because then I can take my full power. Otherwise, sometimes I don't dare to do it.
Exactly.
But the more a person is there in their power, yes. Now let's talk.
This is your Neptune on your body. Your body's a tuning fork, and whoever you're around, you have to be very careful. You're an empath. That's why it's very hard for you to be around negative people. Or as soon as there's qualities of dishonesty, or when you're feeling something's not being spoken to, your whole system short circuits. But when you're around power and you're an empath, and you're feeling their power, now your power, and you've got Saturn giving you this backbone, you're like, look at the best of me just showed up. However, the danger of this is that you can mistake that you don't have the power till they're around, because you can go back to losing your backbone if you're not careful and feeling yourself in that deep, dark Scorpio land and finding yourself a little bit quiet or depressed. That's not who you are. Who you are as a soul is this very vital, Sag-rising, energetic. But you got to know that's true whoever you're sitting with, that you hold your own individual backbone. That's your life lesson this lifetime.
Yeah.
To be self-recognized without any reflection. That's Saturn and Leo. Can I see myself? Can I feel my worth, regardless of who's sitting in the room? Because otherwise you can get propensity is to move into the sensitivity part and get lost.
Oh yeah. I shut down.
Right. So holding your backbone, your life lesson is your backbone.
Yeah.
Holding your backbone up. No matter who you're with or where you are, knowing that's your spiritual inheritance. It's like you came in with an old soul. And your gift to us is that you get us all activated to start asking those deep, dark questions. And you provide all these great teachers. You love this. You're built for the job.
Yeah, I love it.
How cool is that? Do you have any questions? Because that's about. I think
Does it
that's-
say anything about the like what's coming next?
Well, that's the
or
marriage. The relationship
the-
is in focus for the next year or two. Your Jupiter's about to enter your 7th house. It's just doing that this week, next like week or two for the next year. Jupiter is the planet of luck. This is the house of marriage. You're going to go through a Saturn square Saturn in 2014, which is like the change that happened when you moved from Chicago or to Chicago. In a 7-year cycle, you're going to go through another big change in 2014. So everything's leading up for that. In the next 2 years, there'll be another increase of your responsibility. So you're just moving toward it. You're like in a walking up a mountain right now, and it's really easy because you've got the wind in your favor. But once it peaks, that's when the change and the templates shift. But that's 2 years from now. So this is all about relationship this year. 2012, 13 is all about relationship for you. And how fun is that?
It's great. I'm ready.
You're in it, honey. You're
Thank
smack
you.
dab in it. Yeah.